Hi everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I have a fun one. I asked you guys a while back whether or not you'd like to see a more detailed eyeshadow application type of video, and a lot of you said yes under that video in the comment section. I've been wanting to get to this one for a while because the way that I'm doing things on the lids right now, super easy. So easy. I finished my eye looks within 10 minutes, whereas before it used to take me at least 20, if not 30 minutes because of all the blending and just everything that's involved with creating any particular look. The way that I've been doing things though, it's gonna save you time. And if you're a beginner, it's gonna be foolproof, okay? So let me bring you guys up close so that you can see exactly what I'm going to be doing along the lid. And that way you can either follow along or maybe perhaps you pick up a few things that I mention or just one thing, anything that you can take away from this video. That's why I share everything that I do here on my channel. So first thing you're gonna wanna do is prime your lids. If you're not priming the lids and you're seeing that your eyeshadows are not lasting as long, or perhaps they're creasing or they're just kind of fading away as the day goes on, this is probably what you're missing. This is one of my absolute favorites. This is the Milani eyeshadow primer, very inexpensive. It comes in one neutral shade, which is nude. Now, there are different brands that offer different eyeshadow priming shades. One that I can think of off the top of my head is the Juvia's Place I Prep I Prime. I believe they offer 3. I used to use number 2 all of the time. I still really like it. I still own it, but I only reach for that one if I'm going to be working with lighter colors. Let's say you want to work with like pastels or just light browns, something that's perhaps not necessarily going to show because of the natural pigment that you have, then those would be a great option. But since I'm working with deeper tones today, I'm going to stick with this one. I really love using an eyeshadow primer because it does leave a little bit of tackiness behind. It gets rid of the oil that's naturally on our lids, and that can create your eyeshadows to crease. And it can also contribute to the eyeshadows just kind of like disappearing throughout the day. And you can clearly see the difference as far as like the oils, the natural oils that are on the lid, just from looking at my eyes right now. This one looks quite oily because of everything that I apply onto my face as far as my morning skincare, eye care, stuff like that, like eye creams, eye serums. So of course it's a bit hydrated, but when it comes to the lids and eyeshadows, we don't want excessive hydration. So now that that is out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. Now, I learned this process from Natasha Denona. She is a master, a whiz when it comes to eyeshadow application. If you don't follow her on Instagram, which I highly doubt you guys don't, but if you don't, just go over to her Instagram page and just check out the different eye looks that she puts together. I've learned so much just from watching her reels and watching what she does on her models, and that is how I've been doing things. I've incorporated some of the things that I've learned from watching her reels into my routine, and it's made it so much easier. So we're gonna start off with a shimmer. Now, the primer has left my eyelids a little tacky, just a little bit, and that is enough for the eyeshadows to really grab onto. So I'm gonna be working with my Patrick Ta Major Dimension 1 palette, the first one, and I'm just gonna grab my shimmers. I really love this palette. The eyeshadows, the formula, it's all great. However, I have tried this with a lot of different palettes that I own, and it works every single time. So first thing, just applying my shimmer onto the mobile lid area. I always bring it into the inner corner and I pat it onto the eye, and I stop right below where my orbital bone starts. So like right there, that is where I stop. Next, I'm going to take a lighter shade from the palette, this one right here, with my finger again, and this I'm going to pop here along the center. Next, I'm taking a fluffy brush. It doesn't have to be a fluffy brush. Honestly, it can be any eyeshadow brush, but make sure it's an eyeshadow brush, not a blending brush yet. This one is my detail buffer brush. It's the E28 from Sigma Beauty. It looks like this. And I'm gonna grab the deepest shade that I'm gonna be working with, which is this really beautiful deep brown shade. I'm gonna pack my brush with that, pat off the excess. And this I'm just going to pat here along the outer V, overlap it with my shimmer, and drag it up to the crease. Now, of course, you can deepen it, so you can go back into that outer V shade like I'm going to, and just add a little bit more like that. Now, once I'm done with that, with the deeper shade, I'm taking a different brush. This one is, what is this one called? The Base Shadow Brush from Real Techniques. And I'm gonna dip this into two different shades. A lighter one from the one we just used, and another light one. So I'm kind of mixing these two together. And I'm gonna take this and just blend out the edges. This is when I'm gonna go in with like windshield wiping motions. And run this right here along the outer V and drag it into the crease just a little bit. Now I don't want this to be my transition shade, which is why I'm keeping it right below the crease. But this is helping it to blend out that outer V, deepening it and creating some dimension on the eye. Now you can clean off your brush. I like to just keep a towel, like a hand towel on my lap, and I clean it off just enough to where it's not going to continue to deposit that color that's on it. But I still wanted to have a little bit of this color left behind because it's gonna help blend out up here, and it's going to help everything transition and just look really nice and diffused. So with this brush, I'm taking the lightest shade from the palette, and this is what I'm gonna use to diffuse and to blend out this line out here. Something that I've had to learn, and this is just through trial and error, is that the less pressure you place on your brush, the better when it comes to blending. I used to really press hard in order to try to blend it all away, but that only made it worse, and it made the eyeshadows end up on places that I didn't want them to. And not until I started to lay off of the pressure did I actually like the way that things were blending. And that's it. You're pretty much done. You can bring back a little bit of that deeper shade back if you feel like you've lost it. Personally, I like this, so I'm just gonna leave it alone. But if you really wanted to like have a nice, deep, smoky eye, then you would just go back with your original brush, dip it in to the deeper shade again, and then just blend out the edges as you're applying more. But like I said, I really like the way that it turned out, so I'm pretty much all done here. Now the last thing that I'll mention is tight lining. I love tight lining my eye. It gives the illusion of a thicker lash line, which of course allows your lashes to look fuller, thicker, add more volume, that kind of thing. It just kind of helps the mascara out a lot. I definitely notice a difference when I tight line and apply mascara versus when I don't and apply mascara. The only thing with tight lining is that I hate tight lining with a gel liner. It has to be a liquid liner. The one thing that I was seeing a lot when I would tight line with a gel liner as opposed to a liquid eyeliner is that I would see a lot of transfer from the top to the bottom that I did not want. Now doing it with a liquid liner instead of the gel liner, it stays in place, it doesn't transfer to the bottom, and it still gives you that same thickness that you're looking for along your lash line. So I just take it from underneath, I push it up, and then I apply eyeliner underneath that way. That way I'm also not poking my eye out because I used to do that all the time. And just look at the difference between my lash line before and after tight lining. This one, in my opinion, appears thicker, it appears fuller than this one. Now all you have to do is add some lashes or add some mascara and you're done. Now I know that I said that the previous thing was the last thing, but this is truly the last thing. I wasn't gonna show you guys because I was like, well, do they really wanna see it? But perhaps you guys wanna see it. So I'm gonna show you exactly what I do with my lower lash line. For this particular eye look, I do want to add a little shimmer along the lower lash line. So I'm taking this Gilded Flora shadow stick. I forget, this is from Milani Cosmetics. I forget what shade this is in exactly, but I will have everything linked in the description box below, so it'll be there. Anyway, I apply this onto the waterline. So of course you wanna tilt your head down and look up, and you can run this guy right there. I just love that pop pop of shimmer underneath the eyes, especially when I do shimmer on the lids. And after I am done with that, I'm gonna go back to this brush, our initial brush, the one that I used right here. I'm gonna use the tip of this to apply the shades that we applied over here. So I'm gonna take a little bit of the deeper shade, a tiny bit of this one, and a little bit of this one. Just combining the three, and this is what I'm going to run back and forth along the lower lash line. So just again, tilting our head down, and just dragging this back and forth. I'm also going to go back with a brush that I used to blend along the lid, and I'm going to dip this into the lightest shade and a little bit of the second to lightest. And I'm going to use this to further blend out the lower lash line. I don't want it to be too dark, but I also don't want it to be too light. I want it to be lighter than the lid, but not by much. And of course, finishing it off with mascara along the lower lash line. But I only do mascara like 3/4 of the way in. Like that. And that, my friends, completes today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed today's eye tutorial and that you found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss out on future videos. And also don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, where I absolutely love to interact with you guys. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Mwah! Bye.